Good evening, Soul Tribe. Tracy here, Sweet Spot e-magazine. Thank you so very much for the likes, shares, views, subscribes, comments, donations, everything. I appreciate it all. Let's ring this bell. Let's go ahead, clear out this energy, and then we'll see what the message the Spirit has for us this evening. They never thought that you would ever figure this out. This is something that's been hidden, something that's been under wraps, like something that people were told never to speak of. Bottom of the deck. Hey, J Mike. We have the Hermit. I'm telling you, somebody was told never to speak of this. And they didn't think that you would ever figure it out. This is somebody that, this could be a father figure. This could be somebody that, to look at them, you feel like, oh, they've been blessed financially. And you really think, this is somebody who controls, the land or has, a lot of money. They have a lot of property. They have a lot of things in their life. Hey, K Hyphy. Hey, Beatrice. Hey, Shaylin. But this is someone who's been keeping the secret. They've had to. And they've been trying to, this is somebody in your life that you know that they don't have your best of interest at heart. And they know you know this. But yet they still feel that they can still pull the wool over your eyes, keep it hidden. And the way that they do this is they try to still be in touch with you, but they really don't deal with you, if that makes any sense. Like, this is somebody who you may not speak to them for months, and then you may get a superficial call or a superficial text or something because it's like they have to keep up this facade or this some type of communication with you. But they were told, and they told everyone, to never speak of this. But yet everybody knows the secret. This is somebody who caused you a lot of stress in your life. And they would pit people against you and pit people against you and sit back and watch. They knew what they were doing. And they didn't. Then whenever you would ask them about it, they would act like they didn't know what you were talking about. Like, wait, what? That's weird. This is someone that you have to, I'm just hearing, cut it off cold. You have to stop picking up the phone. You have to stop returning the call. You have to stop returning the text. It's going to be hard, but you're going to have to use some strength to close this cycle. I'm telling you, this is somebody who, since you were a child, this is like what they cast over your life. This could have been a mason. Did you have parents that were like a Mason and an Eastern Star? If so, you were their sacrifice. But they never expected you to figure this out. And it's like maybe one day you were just talking, not trying to be in sleuth mode or Inspector Gadget mode or anything. You were just talking, or you were watching something on television or listening to a podcast or something. And for whatever reason, you muttered those words. I was the sacrifice. And when you muttered those words, it's like you unlocked that door. When you unlocked that door, it's like you broke that spell and you sent those arrows back to them. Those curses back to them. You had already worked your way through two of the curses. Like there were already two things in your life that you were not supposed to be able to accomplish, and you did. So then there were others that were supposed to, be holding you back. But it's like whenever you said those words, or whenever you came to that realization, and it just clicked and made sense, that's what sent the spell back to them. And this person knows because you were supposed to be the one that they were at the funeral crying over, but now they know it's going to be them. And there's nothing that they can do to change it. You are completely protected, completely protected. And then they know that that will is no longer in their favor. Hey, Crystal Empress, how are you? That coven, the Masons, the Eastern Stars, they're receiving that karma. They're receiving that blowback because you figured out what you weren't supposed to know. Like I said, it wasn't just one part of your life. It was several different parts of your life because you know what? This person, there's no way this person would be able to have accomplished all of this on all of these things, that it's almost like they were so popular. Everybody loved them. They had this big thing and that big thing and this money, and they traveled here and there and did this. Everybody came to them for help because they were the ones with the control, only because you was the one that was the sacrifice, and that was their payment. Hey, High Priestess 369. And now that you've figured it out, now that you've muttered it, and maybe you don't even know what it was that you said, confirmation. Now you are completely free. They can't hold you back. They can't get you back mentally. And it's all out in the open. I'm kind of feeling like it wasn't just you that was sacrificed. They even had a backup clause that if by slim chance that you got through, your offspring would then take your place. It's important that you continue to pray over your offspring. Even if you know that they've already stepped over to the other side, they've only stepped over there because somebody tried to make it seem so inviting, so warm, so welcoming, because they know that they have to keep a tight grip on that person so that they can continue to reign. Could have been your mother. Felt like she had it all. She was going to have it all if she was an Eastern Star. And she was going to be the one with all the money, all of your money, all of your riches, all of your glory. And she had even planned how she too was going to try and keep you stuck. She felt like she was going to come up with another type of spell. But see, what they didn't know when you was just real young, because you were just a baby when they did this. But see, one thing they didn't know is whenever you came out, when you were born, that you had a specific purpose. And the older you grew, it's like the more you started to see, the more they started to see that you could see and you could hear. You heard them talk about things that you weren't supposed to hear. Hey Jude, how are you? And they were shocked. They were confused because it's like they would even have conversations behind closed doors. And you could be sitting at the table as a child, coloring or doing whatever kids do. And then you would say something and it would like stop them in their tracks. And they would look at each other like, how do they know? Like, how do they know? Hold on. Oh, thank God we came back. It was at that time, that's whenever they knew that they had to do something else to try and keep you bound, to try and keep you stuck. So they actually tried to get with other witches, other warlocks, and come up with a plan. They worked very hard. They had their coven together. They did everything that they could just so that it's like it put that veil over your eyes, especially your third eye. They even tried to cover up your crown chakra because they needed to do something so that you stayed asleep. Hey, Shane Shay. But it didn't work. It didn't work. Not only it's like they couldn't do anything to hurt you. Because, what's the name of that movie that is it Wolverine or something? And somebody could make Wolverine, put a bullet in him or something, or cut him really bad, and it would just regenerate. The skin would regenerate itself, or the wound would heal itself. It was almost like that with you. No matter what they tried to do, your body always regenerated itself. You were that a healer from the inside out. I feel like there was an older gentleman, could have been a grandfather, somebody in your family that was very spiritual too. And that this person saw what somebody was doing. saw what they were doing, saw what they were attempting. And this person, it's like they saved you as much as they could. They did for you as much as they could until they were no longer here. And it's almost like on their deathbed, you know, and it was almost like they worried about you on their deathbed, so that it's almost like their last words or their last prayer before they crossed over was that God protect you. And so God made sure that you were able to fight, you were able to stand up, you were able to stand your ground, you were able to protect yourself, you were able to have strong boundaries, because it was like these people wanted to get past you through that door. They knew that if they could get past you into that door, they could overtake you, but they never could. They always came up short. But it wasn't just one or two curses. You've dealt with several curses throughout your entire lifetime, whether you know this or not. For someone to say, oh, you've been cursed, you're like, oh, that is such an understatement. But you're here to tell the tale about how you fought the devil and you won. You weren't even supposed to be here. It's like, I don't know if you were the firstborn or the firstborn daughter or the firstborn son, but something about you being first, the first biological child, to someone, something about you being first. That's what it was. Because that's what the deal was. Give up that first. Like, that's a testament to see how much they loved you. Because if you could give up that first to have a life being cursed, then they would receive that payback. That was the deal. To give up the first. That's what they had to do. That's what they had to agree to. So that they could get, this big payout. But see, they didn't realize who you were. They didn't realize that they had a true to life earth angel, whether and a healer, someone who could it's not like you even had to go back and lick your wounds and heal that. No, that just happened automatically. That was just part of you. You didn't even know it to be any different. You just thought, well, dang, and even with scars, that's another thing. With scars, you were the one who did not scar easily. Whether that was on the inside or if that was on the outside. It's one of the two. You could get a cut, you could get a burn, and you may have little remnants there for a little bit, but whereas someone else has that same scar for year after year, yours is completely gone. Hey, Angelique. Hey, love the nation. How are you? Hey, lies never stuck. How are you? And Angelina. But you know what? Judgment's been called. Someone is losing a lot. You don't even know what you said, but whatever it was, you said it. And that makes the difference. And not only did you say it, but your child needs to say it too. Because first they were trying to sacrifice you. When that didn't work, they're going to try and sacrifice your child. They're going to try with everything that they have. Once again, Spirit wants us to know this is a spiritual battle. This is against principalities. This is not what we can see. This is not even anything that we think we know, because we cannot see what's going on in the heavens. We cannot see our ancestors, our archangels, our spirit guides fighting to win this battle. We cannot see when they're injured. We cannot see whenever somebody, an entity has struck them down. We can't see it. But it is definitely a spiritual battle that is that is going on right now, taking place in our lives. This is why we're here. This is what we have to do. We are winning souls. We are preparing people. We are educating people. We are letting people know this is not our battle. This is the Lord's battle. We have to do what we need to do. This is not the time to play. This is not the time to think, well, maybe it's not. No, this is the time to be serious. Things are turning around. 2025, this is a 9-year. Things are at completion. Things are turning around. And what somebody thought, and I'm telling you, they said, never speak of this, never bring this up. We figured it out. We figured out what their part was, and we also figured out, unfortunately, what our part was meant to be. This is why we had to just be single, be separate, separate ourselves. And now these, I don't want to call them devils, because they have these entities that they were born with, that's part of them. But now they're stuck, because it's something about how they were trying to groom our children, because they cannot get to us. So they want to get to who's closest to us, whether they are children, or adult children. And they never thought that we would figure it out, because they had been doing this to us for so long, committing spiritual crimes. We were born. The day we were born, they committed this first spiritual crime against us. And now this person who sat on their throne, thinking that they had everything under control, the leader, the first one that charged towards us before we could even walk. Everything is blown up. Everything is breaking down. Everything is crumbling right before this person's face. And we were able to defend ourselves. We were able to save ourselves from being that sacrifice. And they're worried. because they know we still are not letting them through that door. That's the door to spirit. They're not getting through there. They've done things to estrange us from our loved ones, to break up our relationships. Like I said, we could have had a mother that had a specific plan for us. But now, that same mother who threw out that demonic, diabolical plan or curse that was only supposed to affect us is coming back for her. They know that we've been working on our spiritual gifts. They know that we've been elevating, ascending, praying, and growing closer to the Most High. And they also know they can't stop us. And there's nothing that they can do. They already knew that we would be victorious. It's like this is why they worked so hard to try and stop us for so long, to try and knock us down off our horse, they said they was knocking us down off of our high horse. But we saw all the red flags. We noticed all of their private clues and cues. And despite all of their secret plans to hold us back, we still ascended. We still became who we were supposed to be, regardless of what secrets they wanted to hold. But like I said, they didn't think that we would be able to break that secret. They thought that, okay, so they thought, okay, so they said the words, but they still don't know. We know. We know. Hey, AJ Craft. Hey, Fresh Feminine. Hey, Queen Memoirs. We still know. And we know it has to do with our family heritage. And we know that it has to do with our spiritual gifts. And we know that it has to do with we were the child that had the spiritual gift in the family. And if they wanted to be able to get all the diamonds and the gold and everything, they would have had to take it from us. But see, our ancestors were there. Like I said, we had it was whether it was a passed over grandfather, a passed over grandmother on their last day, before their last breath, before their last thought, before they closed their eyes that last time. The last thing they said was, "Dear God, protect this one." See, they wanted you to be stuck. They wanted you to be not able to get free. But whatever it was, you're free. You ended that curse. You broke those chains. You broke the whatever was meant to keep us mentally stuck, feeling like we can't do anything, we can't go anywhere, because they wanted us to feel like we needed them. I'm laughing because there's this little string hanging on the bottom of my chair, one of the chairs in my home office, and her ear keeps hitting it, and she keeps doing like, "Oh my God," instead of just moving her head. But yeah, we broke that. They were no longer able to play in our head. They were no longer able to play in our energy, because it's like we had this love, this God-given love, the love from our ancestors. We've had this over our lives forever. Literally, as long as we've been here. Literally, as long as that passed over loved one said that prayer for us. That's why we were able to walk away from this devil and their playground. Hey, Kentia, how are you? See, they thought that we would just be, what's it called, footloose and fancy free, where we would just throw all caution to the wind and we would do all types of stupid stuff. We would run and play in traffic, or do things that would be a detriment to our life. And even if we did, it's like somewhere, some way, one day we snapped out of it and we had to understand our purpose in this life. Because they thought that we were going to be so careless, so carefree, that we would end up being just like this. Like they anticipated burying us. But they never anticipated us being able to see exactly who they were. That's what they never anticipated. Somebody had made promises to a lot of other people, to a lot of other demons, to a lot of other people that had these demonic entities within them. They made promises to a lot of other people. And now they're upset because those people, those entities, those shape-shifting demons, they want to collect. And somebody's in regret. They didn't think that we would see what they purposely didn't want us to see. But we saw it all. We saw it all. We are looking up at that cup that God is giving us. Those were the instructions. Those were the clues. Those were our cues. Hey, Addie, how are you? What's the message, Spirit? What's the message? See, we were the key all along. They didn't know that. We were the key all along. We were meant to be the Empress all along. And they had this secret all along. But for whatever reason, it's not like we were worried about it. Because we were always basking in God's love. Always basking in God's grace. Always coming with an open heart. And if our heart was closed, it was closed because we knew at that particular time we should not have had it open to those particular people. It's almost like, when you see someone shapeshift for the first time, you do a double take, like, what the fuck did I just see? But you don't ever forget it. You just kind of reposition yourself so that you can stay away from it. But we watched somebody shapeshift. That's when we knew. We weren't being crazy. I'm telling you, somebody still wants to keep in touch with you because they feel like you're still a fool. They feel like they're more intelligent than you. They may not feel like you a fool, but they feel like they're more intelligent than you, as if you wouldn't know. Because they're still thinking there's a 50-50 chance that they can get this done. 50-50. And they're willing to take that chance because they don't want to be the one to have to pay the piper. That's what they're afraid of. Paying that piper. Because once again, we didn't know that this was a warlock. Somebody who we thought, oh my gosh, yes. And we were kids. We're like, yeah, I'm so proud of my dad because he's this and his dad. He's got all this. He's got all that. But now we don't talk like that. That pride that we used to feel when we were kids, we don't feel that. Because now we understand that was not, that's not, that person is not somebody, not for us to be proud. We had to make a judgment call because once again, we had to realize we were the sacrifice and so was our child. It's like, I tell my son, if they don't like your mother, they don't like you. But see, they will sit here and try and fuck up somebody's mind to make them feel like, oh, no, we just don't like your mother. We love you. We just don't like who you came from, as if that shit makes sense. Everything that you try to do, everything that you try to work on, everything that you try to teach somebody, they try to end that, just like they tried to end your relationship. Everything, each and every relationship, whether it was a child, whether it was a friend, whether it was somebody you're romantically involved, every relationship, they didn't want anyone to be close to you because the deal is, once you're no longer here, they can erase you and never speak of you again, just so they could have what they feel that was their just due. But you know the truth. God showed you the truth, and that's why you left. That's why you laid those swords down. And that's why, you get to go away from this. You're no longer cursed. You are no longer cursed. And that curse came right back on these people. And here they are fighting. Fighting. It's like if somebody, you could have even had siblings. This is a scenario. You could have even had siblings. There was maybe one or two that was older than you and one or two that was younger than you. But the ones that were older than you, nobody ever fucked with them because they were not the firstborn. They were somebody else's. So maybe those were half brothers and sisters. But it was something about you. What's the message? And, I feel like something, maybe whenever you were younger and you spoke about something and you hit the nail on the head. And that's when someone told you, one of your parents, don't you ever speak of that again. Don't you ever let that come out your mouth again. And you were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, damn, what did I say? That was your first clue. That's what made you really start thinking. That's when you started noticing, asking, wondering. But you couldn't ask them. That's when you really started asking God to show you what you needed to see, tell you what you needed to hear. What's the message? That's when you started asking God that, dear God, if whoever is here to harm me, please remove them, no matter what. And you started noticing people dropping out of your life left and right, but you never questioned it because you know what you asked God, and God will provide. That's when you started with your spiritual walk. That's when you realized you had to be strong, because ask God and God will provide. Something about these siblings and your ancestors. See, your siblings don't have the same ancestors as you. They don't. Y'all may have the same parents. Y'all may have lived in the same house, call cousins, the same cousins, the same aunts and uncles, aunt and uncle, or whatever, but y'all don't have the same bloodline. Y'all don't have the same ancestors. Because they could never figure out why they never could measure up to you. Why it's like, like I said, Christmas time, everybody got the same presents, and you probably even got less presents or something, but it was something about the presents that you didn't get. It made the presents that you did get look extra special because your ancestors were there. It's like they gave you what you really wanted or what you really needed. But whatever it was, these siblings, looks like they never measured up to you. I feel like you even had to go through something in your life that was meant to end you. I'm talking about as you was like a teenager. There was something that was meant to end you, and it was planned. It was not an accident. It was definitely planned. And then on top of that, it was so planned that even your mother was sitting here trying to practice. Like, I'm seeing somebody trying to practice how they're going to cry, as they making these plans. You know what I'm saying? Like some diabolical plan. But they couldn't mess with you. They couldn't mess with you. What's the message? There is some deep, dark secret that you was never, ever, ever supposed to know. Never supposed to know. But God kept you protected. Not just that, but there was an ancestor of yours that always watched over you. Always watched, I'm telling you, always watched over you. You were always going to have your inheritance. You were always going to be who you were supposed to be. Yep, there was always going to be this judgment call of what somebody was trying to do to harm you. Always this judgment call of what somebody was trying to do to harm you. It's just that you had to get to a certain point in your life where it was that you were strong enough. When God felt that you were strong enough, that's when God said, okay, let me go ahead and release this information, or release whatever, so that you could handle it. You would know how to handle it, because back then you would just pop off, and you might be, you wouldn't have been able to handle it. But now you are of that spiritual maturity, that spiritual strength. Knight of Wands. Yep. Yeah, I feel like, back then you wouldn't have been able to handle it. God couldn't have showed you what God needed to see, because you would have went clear the fuck off. You would have did something that was crazy. But that's why you needed to be, God needed to make sure that you were stable, you were secure, that you were mature, spiritually mature. That's whenever God told you to walk away, and you did. And when you walked away, that's what helped to break this generational curse for you and for yours. But maybe your child, it's like your child is having a problem trying to get it or understand it, because they're still young. They're still not spiritually mature. They may be older chronologically, but something with the spiritual maturity is not there. And plus, they're still under the power of this warlock. This is somebody that loves you, but they are still under this control of this warlock. I feel like they're waking up and they're starting to realize these things now. This is why this person is realizing that you stand on your own, and you haven't needed anything, because you were always under God's love. You were always receiving of God's love. God said, if I'm giving it to you, you don't have to ask nobody else for it. What's the message, Spirit? Something about some spotty connections. What's the message, Spirit? Yeah, they're still trying to come up after you. It's like they're trying to put something in the air so that, I don't know why I'm here feeling like all of a sudden I just started feeling like a little bit of a headache. I don't know if they're trying to send spiritual attacks, or they're trying to get in the way of that connection between you and your ancestors and God, the Most High. But there's something about they trying to create these spotty connections. But you're just going to continue to pray, continue to move forward, continue to allow God to talk to you, like talking to you in your dreams, talking to you whenever you're watching TV, when you're driving, when you're in the shower. And that's a great place whenever you were in the shower or in the bath. That's the best place to talk to God, because it's something about that closeness with the water. Or if you're by an ocean, I used to live in Florida. I would go to the ocean and just sit on the beach and talk to God all day long, literally, morning. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's 6:00. Let me go home. It's in the evening. But yeah, it's like they're trying to create these spotty connections so that you can't get the messages. You can't get the downloads. You can't understand what God is trying to tell you. It's like so that you don't feel the gentle nudges. It's like they want to continue to, and it's like even if you are so far removed, they want to bring you back. They want to bring you back. Yeah. It's like you working on yourself, but Here they are. They want to give to you, going from the 8 of coins to the 6 of coins. They want you to go backwards because they really want you to be, where you're in this place of regret. They want to bring you back. I'm telling you, they're trying to send these attacks to you. They're trying to send these attacks to you to kind of get you off balance because they know whatever you're saying, it's resonating, and it may be, maybe your child is listening, or paying attention, and it's resonating. It's making sense. It's getting them closer to completing this cycle. Yes, and they're watching you too. They're watching you, they're listening to you, and they know that you know. This is the part that's hurting them because then they're worried about that you're gonna break this cycle. You're gonna put an end to this. And here they are, right here, really looking worried, with his head all in his hands, like, oh my God, if she ascends and does all this, then here, they don't want that to happen. They don't want that to happen. This is why they're trying to keep this child stuck. They're trying to keep these magic tricks or this black magic over this child. So this child doesn't understand what the hell is going on. But you know the truth about this warlock. You've already spoke your truth. And now this warlock is upset because they know they cannot handle you. They cannot keep you down. They cannot even physically try and control you. They're calling you out of control. I'm calling you on your path. Oh. And if this one could just come and attack you, they would. Don't let them in your front door. Even if they're trying to communicate, you know it's a lie. If it's coming out of that orifice, consider it a lie. They just want to get close to you so they can take you out. But I feel like, you know what? You're going to be okay. Because like I said, they can't stop you. They can't control you. They can't even determine which way you're going. They just know that you were gone. That you figured stuff out. You know what's going on. I feel like, this person is coming back to you. But they have to come back to you healed. They just can't come back to you because this person has been infected by a spiritual disease. So they have to get the healing that they need. They just can't come back to you. Yes, there's something that they need to have surgically removed. Spiritually, surgically removed. So don't get no knives out, y'all. Be like, come here. No, not you, baby. You lay down. She was like, Mama, I'm right here. Yeah, this warlock is confused. Like, damn, like they just knew they had it all under control. Like, but now they're starting to have a different viewpoint because nothing is working. Something is not working for them. And they didn't see this part. They didn't think about this part. They knew that if it wasn't you, it was going to be your offspring. And you know what? To be honest, that was one of the curses that you broke because you weren't even supposed to have any children. You were never supposed to experience love. You were never supposed to experience having any children. They wanted you to be barren so that you could watch everybody else have children. I'm telling you, so you could see everybody else with their kids except for you. And best believe they got some money for that too. But you know what? God was like, oh, you about to have some kids now. But yeah, it's like something with you. You know, it was just, the way that, how your heart was, and you would even be shocked when people would do stuff to you, and you would say, I would never do that to them, because you wouldn't. Or if after getting over the shock of it, you would just shrug it off and say, okay, well, I wish the best for them. Or, dear God, like I said, you were asking God, hey, if this person is not for me, dear God, please remove them from my life. I won't even ask any questions. And that's what happened. God would remove people from your life. And these are and it's like, this is you, wanting to ask questions, but you knew that you wouldn't, because you knew that, hey, you asked God to do this, and it's not for you to sit here and doubt God. God, why did you do? No, no, no. God said, no, I'm moving you. I'm moving you out the way. I'm moving this person out the way. I'm moving you to another place, because what you couldn't see is that person was sitting there being two-faced with you. But whatever it was that these people did, your family did, all the black magic, all the curses, all of their friends that sat there and tried to put all these spells on you, nothing worked. Nothing. Because it wasn't supposed to. Because you weren't like them. Yes, I'm telling you, you were supposed to be the one who did not ever break out of this generational curse, because they knew that you were the curse breaker. They knew that you were the demon slayer. And you weren't supposed to be able to do that. But they didn't know that you was going to be born with your own sword to slay this demon. And now this demon has been slayed or slain. Whatever the word is. Killed. Done. Over. Hey, Bert Nix. Hey, Angelique. So there's Angelique and Angelina. Hey, 13 House Tarot. How are you? And Cher. Malcolm, hello. What else, Spirit? Yeah, they wanted to come for your kids. They wanted to come for you. If they couldn't get you, they had even put in a clause that they was going to come for your kids. What's the message? And now I feel like it may be your children that have to show the same type of strength that you did to break out of this, like you had to. Because right now it's like, maybe it's one of your children that you feel like, who are you? Like, what happened? It's because their mind has been mind fucked by these same people, by the same curse that was supposed to have kept you stuck. But they're going to have to free themselves. They have to rescue themselves. But I feel like, as long as you continue to lead by example, stay strong, and hold those people back, because they want to get through your door to spirit. No, you fight. Yeah, because they want your children. They couldn't get you. What's the lesser spirit? Mm. Yeah, it's almost like now that you know who the enemy is, it's easier for you to fight. But see, before you didn't know who the enemy was, but you know that you have the power to overtake the enemy and the enemy's minions. And it's almost like here you are trying to save your child, trying to shield your child, trying to talk to your child, trying to have your child wake up from this slumber that they're in. You know, stop. It's almost like this child is stuck. This child can't go anywhere. It's like you almost. I feel like someone screaming, "Wake up! Wake up!" But pretty soon, you're going to be able to pull that curtain back. And instead of it being that big, bad monster that your child is afraid to leave, they're going to see it's just a regular person. Yeah, I feel like, you stepping into this earth angel role. You not just stepping into it, you've always been an earth angel, but you understanding your role, your position, you understanding that this is a spiritual battle and what you have to do, where you need to be, and what you cannot do. It don't mean that we have to walk around like we just, Sally sweet all the time. No, angels get down and dirty too. And sometimes we got to get down and dirty too. Angels know how to fight. They know how to protect themselves and you. So it's not like, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. You know, that's like with whenever I started my spiritual walk, and like I said, I had two narcissistic parents, two. So they were a Mason and an Eastern Star. So I was the emotional garbage can. If anybody needed to dump on me, I was the one. If they was trying to blame anybody for anything, I was that one. If they fucked up, but they wanted to push it on somebody, I was the one. Everything that was negative, they put that all on me. But whenever I realized what my purpose in this life was, and it wasn't to be a victim, it wasn't to be rolled over, ran over, the emotional garbage can, it was to save souls. When I realized my role, oh, they wanted to act like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. Okay, we'll see. But for me not to know what the hell I was talking about, I sure have done a lot. And they're all afraid of me, including those two narcissistic parents. They won't come anywhere near me. I've even welcomed them because I told them, hey, you're getting at the end of your life. You and I, we have to have a conversation. There's some questions that I have to ask, and there's some answers that you need to tell. And neither one of them will come near me. They'd rather go to hell than to answer my questions, than to be in front of me. They would even tell people, she's not on a spiritual walk. She cusses too much. How you know Jesus didn't cuss? How you know what he didn't say? they didn't know because they wasn't there. They trapped themselves, trying to trap us. And whatever they said, it never sat right because we always knew that these were Satan's helpers, that they had those demonic plans. And now, because of their bullshits and the fact that this shit is not working on us, they're scared. They feel like the block is hot and they need to hide. They want to tell us they didn't mean what they said. It's okay. You still got to talk to me, though. You still have to talk to the demon slayer. Something about this Black Widow. It's hard for her to be honest. She can't do it. This is why God had to separate you until everything was over. God said it's about to end. ... The end. You already know that you are a king or a queen. You know that you are here to lead, not follow. Something about the hitman turned on the boss. And they're so scared. That handshake is like a wet noodle. See, somebody has proof. And they tried to act like it was because of some religious beliefs. No. They tried so many things to trigger you, but it never worked. See, they started a war with a spiritual gangster. And if you had the life that I've had, baby, you are a spiritual gangster. And everything that you said was going to happen started playing out. They know that they were put in their place. And now they are obsessed with you because none of their negative plans ever worked. Hey, the soul archetype. Hi, Lucky Libra 444. How are you? Welcome. Hi, Lisa Rojas. Yeah, see. They played everyone in the end. Especially whenever you told them that they have to stop blaming us for their own insecurities. You know, like I said, we know that we were born to be the emperor, the empress. We're here to give life. We're here to keep people encouraged. We're here to help people find their true way and their path, not to get people knocked off, not to build up walls between people and fuck up people's relationships and none of that bullshit. We're here to give encouraging messages. But see, there was a willing participant trying to take you down. They left you to the wolves only for you to come out leading the motherfucking pack. A pack. What's the message? Jealous siblings? Yep. Those jealous siblings are actually into black magic. They was part of it too. They was promised some part of your inheritance too. Some of them may have had some sex addiction, some secret society or something. And see, they act like they can't. They like they measure up to wear the crown. They cannot wear that crown because they don't even know how to get down to wear the crown. Something is not what it appears. They needed to study the entire situation. Yeah, I'm telling you something about these childhood memories. That brings a huge clue. I'm telling you, it's like you may have said something, and then all of a sudden, one of your parents or somebody just blow up at you. Don't you ever say that again. That was a serious clue. Somebody, they pop prescription pills. This is the person that always plays victim to. Like I said, pray for your children always, because if they don't like you, they don't like your children. You were always destined to have victory because you always told the truth. And that's why you were always a success. Truth, success, and victory. You are the star. What's the message? Judgment Day. Something around the holiday. Judgment Day. Oh. Telling you, we have to be careful because the devil whispered in my son's ear. Always have that positive energy. Oh. Something about this jealous mother. I'm telling you, that mother was planning her whole life. Okay, well, this child probably won't make it till they're 4 or 5, and then I'm going to be able to cash in on the life insurance policy, plus we going to get her gifts. We going to get her, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We're going to travel. Oh, I've always wanted a full-length fur, and not that rabbit shit either. I'm talking mink. You know, somebody was already planning. But see, they don't make fair fights. And once again, they didn't know they was fighting against the spiritual gangster. And they can tell that your skills are improving, you know, because you always trusted your guides. You always moved with that intuitive nudge, you know. Have that strong cutoff game. Stop answering the phone. Stop responding to the text. Because you know what? If they really wanted to be there, they would. If they really wanted to be in touch with you, they wouldn't wait several months just to make sure that they could still have that little bit of a connection, because they always want to see if there's that 50-50 chance. No Vaseline, babies. It's like now they can't be worried about how they treated you because they treated you the way they wanted to treat you. Nothing changed. If it was going to change, it would have changed. So now, since they didn't want to change, we have to. They're coming with that trickster energy. But their time is up. And we don't even have to be rude. We don't have to act ugly. We can just always show peace, always say it with grace. But we just need to let them know that secret is out. Remember with your children that you warned them. It's up to them to break free because you cannot save them. But whatever somebody's doing, it's backfiring. Yep. Always remember that we have this heavenly host. And we have been given this spiritual authority. We are in our divinity, our life purpose, and our spiritual purpose. Something may happen this Friday. You were their sacrifice. Make sure that you get your healing steps in. And with this copycat, no ties. Cut it off. It sounds hard, but it's not. We just have to act like because we know that they're trying to scam us, whether they're trying to take from us emotionally, financially, something physically. They're trying to do something. And they're also trying to track us. Always listen to Spirit because Spirit is going to speak the truth. Spirit's going to come to you in your dreams. Love yourself. Love yourself. What else, Spirit? Somebody's going to have a prophetic dream tonight. God said it's going to be somebody's going to have a prophetic dream tonight. It's going to be something that it's not going to make sense. Oh, why are you sitting on my foot, little girl? It's not going to make sense, but whenever you wake up, if you have like a dream book, or hell, even go on, what is it called? ChatGPT. But somebody's going to have a prophetic dream. They are shook. They shook because they know that you're leaving. And they know that you feel free. They can't catch you like it's, how hard it is to catch a hummingbird? By the time you reach up, that bird is already gone. This little one over here. Spoiled. What's the message? Yep. It's that sibling card again. And it's only because they're outranked spiritually by levels. And they know this. This is that same sibling that stole from you. And they salty as fuck. Because you are focused. Not just focused, baby. You are laser focused. You have high honor. This is somebody, they was always childish. They was always mean to you for no damn reason. you know, and now they regret taking you for granted because now they're going through some shit and they don't want this smoke. Everything that they was trying to do has been put on hold. All those curses that they gave to you, you say, here, take your shit back. Something about this wicked old hag who knows that her time is up, baby. And she didn't know what the fuck she had because she gonna steal the cubic zirconia and leave the real diamonds behind. Okay? Didn't know what the fuck they had. What else, Spirit? Something about a guilty bystander. Somebody that was a past love. They knew what was happening, but I feel like this person felt too weak to do anything. You know, so they just sat back and watched it happen until they got scared and then they had to leave. Like leave your life because they were quietly threatened. But they sat there and they watched it. They didn't like it, but they was afraid of your family. See, now this person and the person didn't want to be judgmental, but they had to do something because they was getting scared. Especially somebody, you know, who was that trickster in your energy, the one who used to cast all the spells. That's who they was afraid of. But yeah, something about you having an aha moment, especially whenever this person was so arrogant. I'm telling you, this somebody blew up at you just like out the blue. That's the part I can't get past. And that might be, I don't know, I'm feeling like somebody's about to have a prophetic dream tonight. The God's going to be telling them about, you know, the next steps in their life, where they need to, where the direction that you're going to go. And it could be like, you could be driving in a car. You could be, you know, meeting like in your mind or in your dream, meeting somebody famous or something, you know, receiving a tender hug or something like that. Speaking with one of your crossed over ancestors that you remember, you know, it could be anything like that. But I feel like somebody's, when they lay down and before you go to sleep, just thank God. Dear God, thank you so very much for this prophetic dream. Please show me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to hear. And you know, and open up your crown chakra so you can receive the message. This jive turkey, oh, they're gonna get their just due. Because they have been exposed. Their gig is up. They can't do anything else. Yep. This is over. This is over. And now everybody's going to be seeing you as legendary because throughout this entire time, you've had good energy and they lied about you. All right, y'all, I'm going to leave it right there. So I'm starting to feel like I'm getting under spiritual attack. I'm really getting like a headache. And it's like the more I was talking, the worse it was getting. So yes, whenever you lay down tonight, ask for guidance, protection, and assistance. Ask God to open up your crown chakra so you can receive the prophetic dream, the prophetic download, so that we can make sure that we are all on path as we continue to move forward. All right. I hope there was no one that I missed saying hello to. Yes, I am J Mike. I'm getting ready to lay it down right now. And my little girl, she's sleeping right here. Lay down. We're getting ready to go night-night. She got her own bed. All right, y'all. Have a good evening. I will see you in the morning. I love you all. Good night.